Hi. Are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
We're live. Okay. So I'm Ray Underwood, and as I promised, I'm going to do some training tips today because so many people have asked me. And rather than go through your one by one, then it's easier to just do it like this, although we've never tried this before. So if you are looking and listening, can you let me know that you're looking and listening? So type something in, just say hi, and then I'll know you're here. And I'll know this thing is working properly. And we can just make sure it's good. So Shannon's here as well. She's operating the computer. So she's going to tell me what messages are coming through. So if you hear another voice, that'll be her. So
Luke has joined us.
So Luke's there. Oh, okay. Hi, Luke. How you doing? Long time no see, at least an hour. So that's good. Someone else is coming on there.
Norma Taylor
So
with Libby.
Huh?
Norma Taylor and Libby.
Norma Taylor and Libby. Oh, cool, cool. So where you from, Norma? Let me know where you're from. That'd be cool.
Luke says, nice shirt.
Oh, yeah. Luke says, nice shirt. Yeah, right. Yeah. This is actually this shirt. While we're waiting for a few more people to come in on this thing, this shirt was brought to the AGT auditions by Sue Mayborn. Sue Mayborn is the breeder of Magic. And so she had these T-shirts that come up in support. And it's, I don't know if you can see, I'll come near the camera here. And it says, I believe in magic, with a picture of magic on. They're very cool. So, yeah, that's good. And so Shannon was walking around the place with these on, and Sue Mayborn was as well. So it was a good idea. They're really, actually, really nice. I like them. So it was good.
Yvonne says hi from Sweden.
Yvonne from Sweden. Oh, hi. It's a long way. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, as I was just saying, Luke's on as well. We were doing a class about an hour ago, actually a freestyle class. We do a class Sunday morning here. So we do a class at what time? Luke's class, we do a class at 9:30, I think, so 10:30. And so Luke's at home and I come straight here to do this. So it looks like now people are starting to come in on this thing and signing in.
Norma says she's from Surrey and she works with Betty McMillan.
Oh,
and she trained with you.
Ah. Yeah, Norma.
Oh, Betty took training with you.
Yeah, Betty took training with me. So she's reasonably close. And Betty was training with me for many years. She's actually a freestyle judge now, but she was trained competitive obedience with me for many years. So she's one of our good judges because they, if you can get, she knows what a precise dog looks like. So she's one of those judges that they're the switch over from coming from obedience. So they're very useful because when a dog's healing right, she can recognize that a dog's healing properly. So, which is, as we all should know, that's a really great foundation for freestyle. So anyway, the purpose of today, what I'm going to do is I've had lots of people ask me, like when I do things like back weaves, circle backs, things like this, they can never figure out how they can get their dogs to do it so quickly. And also so tight and precise. And I'm going to show you a little bit about how I go about that because it's not just magic. All my dogs do the same thing. First thing I want you to understand though is that I don't treat training like it's a separate trick. I don't separate, say, back weaves or circle backs or everything as a separate thing. Training is a whole thing. And for me, I train basics and technique to the dog. And then as that technique develops, it helps these tricks work. So what I want to explain to you is some of the basic techniques and things that I train a dog to do, which then enables those tricks to work. And then they start to work very well, very clean, And because they are clean, the dog's always happy to do them. That gives me the attitude of the dog. And then when I want to perform in a natural routine, they always work for me. You know, the dog becomes very consistent and very reliable. And for me, if I had to write a list of what's important to me when I train my dogs, and say I, I had a list of a certain amount of things. The first three things on the list would be attitude, attitude, and attitude. I don't care about anything else until I have attitude. And I don't care how long I have to work on a dog to get this. I'm never in a race. It's never a quick thing for me. But that I nurture that more than I do anything else. But what I find is if I concentrate on that, everything else will come, as long as I'm teaching good technique to the dog, of course, So I look at freestyle as a thing. The dog needs good technique. I need good technique. And when we put ourselves together, then that forms the partnership. So what I'm going to do is I'll get Magic out and show you some of the basic things that I work on to start. And then we can go from there. Now, the thing we're doing the live thing, why I've done the live thing, is because I want you to be able to, if you're not clear on something, ask questions, and then I can answer them. Because some of the things I do take some time to get in the dog. And as I said, I'm personally never in a rush for training. I love training so much. I've been doing, training, full time since I was like almost 15 years old. So I love doing this. And for me, when I can do something, it's almost like, I can do it now. That's not good. What I enjoy is the actual process and the building process. Once a dog can accomplish a certain routine or whatever, that's like a bit of a letdown because now I've done it. I love the building process of working with a dog and say, attitude is everything. So anyway, rather than keep talking, I'm going to get Magic. I'll bring her out and I'll show you. I'll show you some of the things I work on. First thing I'm going to do, I've got shoes on. I never train with shoes on. I get rid of them. I never perform with shoes. Actually, my dogs work so closely by my side. If a dog's foot goes under my foot, I want to feel that immediately. Because I never want to tread on my dog. So I always work with socks. And that's always part of my costume, socks. So if you wonder why I'm doing that, it's on purpose. So I'll get Magic, I'll bring her in, and then we'll start.
Don't forget to let us know where you're from.
Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Here's what you do. Yeah, here's Magic. Hello, what you doing? Good girl. Oh, yeah, she's my little girl. What you doing? You're going to say hello to everyone. Come say hello. Say, hi, everyone. What you doing? Yeah. She's a funny dog. Hello, what you doing? She's my little dancing girl, aren't you? Magic, good girl. Okay, so I'm going to get some treats up for her. Magic, come on in. Yeah, good girl. What you doing? I use cheese, by the way. I always use cheese. Mozzarella cheese. That's the treat for all my dogs. So, first, before I start anything with my dogs, I get the attitude first. Let them know I've got some food. We're going to do a little bit of training. Yes, we are. You little girl. What you doing? What you doing? The way I train is always involves lots of playing and touching. So, girl, what you doing? What you doing? What you doing? We're going to show some stuff. Yes, we are. And the first thing I want to do, I like dogs to work very close, gets it nice and accurate for me. So the first thing I teach a dog is about closeness. So before we get into the back weaves per se, if I was you, I would work a little bit on closeness because I find dogs I watch a lot of dogs, but they're very loose the way they work and it slows them down. Technique is to do with the use of space and time. If a dog has to travel a shorter distance, it will get there quicker. If it's getting there quicker, it will give the illusion of speed, okay? Plus, if you've got attitude and you've got a fast dog, you would double your speed. because now it's not traveling so far. I'll explain that a little bit more in a second, but first I'm going to go into this closeness thing, okay? So, I'm teaching my dog how to set up. So I spin and heel work, okay? My heel work is my command for my left side healing, okay? So ready, spin, heel work. Good. So, as you can see, the dog's on the leg there. Nice. Ready? Good girl. Nice. Nice. So, spin and heel. And I want the dog close all the time. I want the dog used to that. Ready? Spin. Heel work. Heel work. So, as I lean over, the dog comes with me. There. Ready? And okay, good girl. Nice. Good girl. And the little things, the dog comes to me. Even after that, it's only a little bit of travel, but I get the dog to come into me, always working towards me. Okay? That will give me my. This is the first thing I teach a dog. And believe me, when I get a puppy, I don't teach them anything. They don't know how to sit, stand, nothing until they're about 6 months old. All I do is sit down and play with my dogs, and they don't know anything. And then I start training after that. But this is the first thing I teach them. Then after that, for instance, something simple like healing. Well, not simple. Healing is not simple, of course, but it starts to become very natural to them. So, ready? You ready? Yeah. Good girl. So I'll just show you. Ready? Once I get that, then this is not far stretch from it. It's not the food that holds them now. It's the ability to understand its position. I'm not luring the dog in position. I can take that hand away, wave it around, because I need the ability to do this, because I need to do free stuff. Good. You'll often see a lot of dogs. It's okay through some of the stages, but they need to work their way through things. Is, for instance, you'll constantly see handlers, and they're always got something there. It's like, no, you need to get away from all that. The dog needs to focus up and through you. Good girl. Nice. Good. And always have that ability to come in. So it just stays on your leg. Wherever the leg goes, it goes. Good. And good. Okay. So the first thing, this. Good. See, she will actually lean over in completely into the leg. Good. So they mustn't be frightened to being touched, played with. Start with that. Now, I'll go into the actual back weaves. Okay. Now I take that exercise and I use the dog's head at the same time. So what we want to create is back weaves. People often think of the back weave, as a dog going through the legs. I sort of think of, no, the dog will happen to go through the legs. All I'm going to do is switch my dog from leg to leg. And I want to give it the shortest possible technique. Needs to be the shortest possible distance that the dog needs to go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is when I put the foot behind, number one, you know what? I'm just going to put Magic away for 1 second because I need to explain something to you, and then I can explain without her, and then I'll quickly bring her back, and then I'll show you. This will make it really obvious and really put you on the right track with this stuff. Okay, here I am. So, distancing technique for a dog. This is really basic technique, but not a lot of people think about it. Dog's coming from here. I'm going to teach the dog. It's going to go backwards, yeah, but so what? I'm going to put my foot behind, like this. Now, I'm going to put my foot behind at a distance that allows the dog's shoulder in a heel position to be on this leg and apply a little bit of pressure. In order, all that's going to happen, the bum will slip through, and then it will go to this leg. So I don't want the leg back here. because now I'm going to get all that travel. Okay? I just want it proportionate to the dog, where it comes through and it sits on this leg. And then sort of applies a little bit of pressure to this leg. So it's on this leg, and then it just hits that one with the shoulder. So all that happens is the dogs, if you can imagine, if I have a leg here and I'm the dog, I'm slightly leaning on that leg. Then by leaning, it sort of overbalances me. I sort of want to sort of do that, okay? But as I do that, I sort of fall around with my rear end and then lean on the other leg. And then I fall around and lean on the other leg, okay? So that's what I teach the dogs, to lean, be tight on this leg, and then as it comes through, is to go on the other one and then lean again. And all that happens is the rear end just keeps leaning around. Now, a few things are important about that. So as I said, the distancing between the legs, it's not that technical. Don't start measuring it and getting all fussy with it. It's just get a nice distance, have fun with the dog. Nice distance where the dog comes through here is where your training, if you're, you know, how skilled you are as a trainer comes in. Just your targeting things like this with your food. So as the dog comes here, obviously it's going to come through, and I've got to show you some other things to do that. But as it comes through, you want its shoulder here, and you want it to stop on its shoulder here. You don't want it to go past that point. So it's very important with your food that you target the correct position here. So if in other words with Magic, I would need to be just here with the food, because I don't want the dog to overshoot this point. It's got to come through, boom. So in actual fact, this is my ideal. Of course, you know, this is a very fast move. It doesn't technically work perfectly every time like that. But the point is we work towards perfection. And then it makes it reliable and sort of fun for the dog to do, because it becomes very, very easy for the dog to do. So lean on that leg, come through, boom. Now, what's really important, it's not too far. So the distance, there's not many back steps anymore, because it becomes twist to twist. There's maybe 1 or 2 back steps only. So now we're cutting down the distance. So it takes the dog a split second to do that, okay? Secondly, now I'm going to turn with my feet. Notice my back foot. What a lot of people do when they do these back weaves, they go like that. And you see there's a gap between them. So now what I'm causing the dog to do is have to go extra distance to go from here to here. In other words, in fact, this far. Now, if you can imagine, that's about a foot, 12 inches. So if I've got a series of 8 weaves, and I multiply each weave as an extra foot of movement compared to having my foot there, my dogs had to travel 8 feet, in other words, over 2 meters in distance, going in backwards work to do the same job as someone who's prepared to put 1 foot behind the other one, okay? So I've shut the distance down. So obviously my dog's gonna do it way, way, way quicker without rushing, because I don't want a dog that looks rushed. I just want a quick, efficient job. This is part of their technique. But also as freestyle, it involves your technique as well, because you need to be able to go 1 foot behind the other each time when you come back like this. You could do it in different styles, you know, that would be more of a, you know, slow type music. You know, it might be a snappy like, boom, boom, boom. But the fundamental technique doesn't change. That's just a styling change, which is just fine. You know, but the basics won't change for the dog, okay? Now, so that's it. You've got to get 1 foot behind the other when you train, and the distance in this way is quite important as well, okay? So you figure that out with your dog, just a little bit of trial and error. It takes like 2 minutes. Then, as I said, the dog is going to learn the principle of trust and overbalancing on your legs. It's going to let itself almost fall around and overbalance. And that weight, its own body weight, is going to teach the rear end to fall around into the next movement and the next movement. And what you're looking for is very symmetrical movements so that the back weave looks very even when it's doing it. So what's going to help that? There's another part of the body of the dog's body is going to help, which is the head, okay? So if I take my head and I twist it this way, I can't help but wanting to go that way. Okay, so I want the dog's head to do that. So what I'm going to do is when I get my food, at first, when I get the dog to come around, I'm just going to bring that food around like that in a small shape. Okay. Now, when I say in a small shape, that's sort of quite important. People often, when they're luring the dog and things, they're flapping their arms all over the place. And that's all great, but what you're going to do, the dog's going to go where the food goes. So you'll be very careful how you lure. Luring is can be a very skillful thing, okay? So make sure you're using it skillfully. So all I want is the head to twist. I don't want the dog to be going all over the place. So as I do this, I just turn the dog's head. As the dog's head turns, the rear end's going to fall through my legs. So I call it through back. So through back. Now, so I'll need 2 pieces of food because I've got to catch the dog the other side. So through back, but as the dog comes through very quickly, because it happens really quick. So if you're not quick enough, you'll end up teaching your dog bad techniques. So it's really important to get this stuff right. So through back, catch them there. So now you've got to get them on this leg in position. Then, of course, you turn the head on the other direction. Boom. And then catch the dog down here. So through back, through back, through back, through back. Okay? And just catching the dog in position. What your dog might do is go past it first. But don't follow the dog with a hand when they go past. Leave it on the leg. Once they realize that you're not willing to take it off of here, they will stop overshooting that mark and they'll stay on your leg properly. Okay? And this is a very basic puppy little thing that you can teach any age dog. And it will soon transfer to the way they work. They go, being close, having fun. Now, what I do with it when I first teach it, though, I don't do through back, through back, through back, through back. I think it's a bad mistake. I break everything down into tiny little things so that it becomes very easy for them and we can learn it quickly. So we achieve very, very, very quickly. Okay? So, in other words, all I teach at first is, speed, heel up, dog on there, ready, steady, and through back. Good dog, nice. Just teach them one. And then I teach them from that side and teach them to go to there. When they can do that properly, and I can do it properly, then we start to put it together. But not until then. And I just want it, most importantly, really happy. The dog needs to feel this is not a challenge to them, okay? Might be a challenge to you to get everything right, but it shouldn't be a challenge to them. It should be very easy. So now I'm going to go and get Magic, and I'll sort of show you in case you're not clear visually what some of that looks like, okay? And Magic hasn't done this basic stuff for actually a long time. She, when I want back waves, I just call for them. So it'll be fun for us to go back and do a little bit of basics with them. Okay, so I'm just going to get my cheese out. I'll get Magic, and I'll be back. Here we go. Here she is. Oh, nice. That's really big. Oh, good girl. Good girl, Lions. You're a good girl. What you doing? You're a funny girl. What's that? Okay, that deserves a treat, whatever it is. Can you do anything else? What can you do? You can do that. Nice. Okay, we're going to share something. Okay, so ready? I'll just show you some of that stuff. So the little head flick, for instance. Ready? Okay, ready? Speed. Here on. Get her in there. Ready? Now, all have them at the same time. Ready and get back. There. Catch them. Just there. Good girl. Nice. Good girl. Good. Notice, I always walk away from my dog. It's a basic training thing, but a lot of people need reminding. People get very lazy at these things, and they don't check themselves that they're doing these small things that are so important to training, and they wonder why their dog doesn't come into them all the time, or the dog, stays at distance, and all sorts of little things creep into your training. Okay, I'll do that again. Ready, spin. Yeah. Good girl. Ready. Do it. Good, just there. Good. Nice. Good girl. Good girl. And of course, I can train it the other side, like I said. Ready. Turn. Right. Same thing. Ready and do back. There. Good. It's the same thing. And then you just put them together. At first, helping the dog, of course. So, helping the dog looks something like ready, and do back. Good. Now, if you notice, you look carefully, the dog does no back steps. It's all turn, because I'm making the movement very efficient. And then later on, of course, when I make the movement efficient, you won't see her rush, but watch. Ready? Do back. Good girl, nice, good. I can, without trying, I just do them quite quickly and basically keep up to any music I want to, or slow it down. Because again, you want the control. That's why you teach it one at a time at first. So if I'm working to music, for instance, it'll look way more dynamic. I don't want the dog to actually go slow, but I want the ability to pause at any time. Okay? So pausing might look something like ready and do back. Wait. Do back. Wait. Do back. Okay. Good. So that way I can put dynamics into my routine and actually work with the music. Of course, I don't know how you guys train particularly, but you need to get the dog off the food. You need to create, in other words, no food. You need to create a dog that works. Okay, you need to build a working attitude in a dog. I got my way of doing it, and because I showed her I've got food. Ready. Here up. Good. Go. Here up. Ready. Do back. Good. Here up. Good girl. Good. And it doesn't matter if I flap my arms around and things like that. I can do things with my arms and whatever. You've got to work your way through this stuff. So that depends on how your training techniques you use. I got my way. I don't get dogs hooked onto food. I use a lot of play. In other words, I don't finish off when I'm training seriously. I never finish off, for instance, with speak, good, and speak, good. And that's it. Never happens with me. My last thing in the chain is always playtime. That way the dog learns to look forward to the play, not the food. The food is just a help when they're learning something new, but I soon get rid of it because I want the dogs just to work. Speak, good, and I give them the food, and they go, oh, you're a good girl. What are you doing? Oh, you're a good girl. What's wrong? Good. So half my training sessions, the time is spent up more playing than it is actually giving the dog any food. The food is just there to mark certain things and help me sometimes lure the dog's body into positions. Okay, so you want to work it, keep that technique going though, and then start practicing basically just moving your body, because we're trying to do free stuff. So magic. I'll just give you one example. For instance, I might use that waving technique, for instance. Should this bother a dog? No, it shouldn't bother a dog. But I could add that into, ready, do back. Good. Okay, good. What I don't want to do forever is this type of thing. It looks really boring, very restricting. Okay, ready, do back. Good. it's like it's boring. It's like kindergarten freestyle. You know, it's like freestyle 101. You need to take it past. Now, when I'm saying that, though, you might take a couple of years to take it past that. It's not a race. It's dog training. You're supposed to enjoy it. Okay. So the other thing, how this might then transfer this basic skill, if I may go, is your circle back itself. Now, the principle is not going to change on the circle back because all it's about is tipping that rear end in there first. So, ready? What do you want to do? You want to do something? You're wrong, you cheeky little girl. Come on. Okay, ready? Spin, 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 spin. Ready? So, circle back, it's the same thing. Ready? Circle back. Pull the head. And the dog's there. You want, good girl. No. Ready? Circle back. Circle back. Circle back. Circle back. Circle back. Circle back. Good. Now what you want to make sure is you're working very close, right by your side here, and you want to pick the dog up in two places, here and here. Good. Circle back there. Circle back there. Whoops, too tight. Circle back. Good girl. Nice. No, good girl. Good girl. Yeah. You know what? There's a free one. You want a free one? Good girl. Got it. Bye. And it sort of leads to all other moves. Goes on forever, you know. Unlimited freestyle moves. Ready? And circle back. Circle back. Circle back. Good. Circle back. And you can move with your dog. Circle back. Circle back. Circle back. Good girl. And then you can put them on the other side. And I call it back around. Back around. Back around. Back around. Back around. Good, good job. Oh, no. Love you. Are you a cheeky girl? Yes, you are. No, girl. And then, of course, you can join those things together. It's all the same stuff. You know, what is a backwards figure eight? Well, it's just throwbacks. So, in other words, ready, and throw back. See, on the leg. Throw back. On the leg, onto the next leg. Whoops, we've done a spin, a little bit too tight. Ready? So we've got one leg to the next leg, Ready? Throw back. Go on. Good girl. Ready? Throw back. Good girl. Nice. It's the same move. I'm just not going backwards. So it encourages a little bit more turn. That's all. So same thing, same process, whatever. You have to, in other words, if I was teaching the way I train, we'd have to be here for like 3 days. But you need to take those principles and then train it your way. It's really important. One leg behind the other. And it's really important that you don't go too far proportionally to your dog. And that makes it much easier for the dog. And virtually every time you call, you know, through back to it, the same principles when you're going forward, it's not going to change. You're going to find they become very, very, very efficient. And you can just, all that's left with your different types of music is you change the styling, but keep the technique. So like I said, styling it can be when you're doing something, you know, really slow and whatever, you know, with weaves, that it might be, you know, very sort of big like this. And but then you do something snappy and jazzy, like that. But the principles are not going to change. You just keep everything the same. You just move slightly different when you do it. Whether you're going forwards, backwards, mixing forwards and backwards. Because you start forwards, you don't have to keep going forwards. You turn it into a back. All you would do is put a quick left about turn in. All of a sudden, you're going from forwards to backwards. And because you're going forwards doesn't mean the dog has to go through backwards. Maybe the dog will go backwards while you're going forwards. So, you know, maybe that hasn't occurred to you. It should, but like this, for instance, I'll just quickly show you. Ready, and reverse. Back. is a girl. So you can go forwards, they can go backwards. You can go backwards, they can go forwards. You can both go forwards, you can both go backwards. You can do combinations of those things, put turns and all sorts of things in there. There's so much room. And then you can put tricks in the middle of it all. Just because you start a weave section doesn't mean you have to carry on. There can be all sorts of things in between. Anyway, that's basically, very basically, how I go about it. There can be lots of little baby steps depending on an individual dog, of course. I've tried to generalize as much because of time constraints. If you've got any particular questions, now would be a good time. We will put this video up and leave it on the page, and you can watch it. Point is then, obviously, you won't be able to ask me questions. I think I've filled in all the spaces as much as I can. So we're going to wind it down now. Thanks for watching. And you know, if you've got any questions, you know, ask me. If you're watching this video after the fact and you've got any questions, you can always ask it on the page. Okay. I do check in every day. So good luck with it, and happy training. And remember, the most important thing is attitude in your dog. Your dog's supposed to want to train, you know, not feel like it has to. And build that drive in the dog. It's very, very important. Okay, keep your training sessions short and sweet, and away you go. So thanks for watching. Bye from me. Bye from Magic. And
there's a question from Janet. Where did you study dance?
Janet, I studied dance. I seriously studied ballroom dance, and in the Vancouver area where I'm from is a very vibrant competitive ballroom dance community. So I danced with my wife Shannon, who's here, for a number of years in competition. A nice thing about ballroom dance when you learn it, that it incorporates sort of different styles. There's the Latin American, there's the smooth dancing, which is the waltz and the slow foxtrot and stuff. So you have to learn many, many, many techniques. So it's a real good foundation of dance ballroom. It's really good. And then, you know, from that, I just have always had an interest in dance, and especially once I started freestyle, because then I realized you can, you know, do all sorts of other stuff as well. And then after that, when I wanted to know new things, I would just seek out the help, you know, like we need to do. So I wanted to know a little bit about animation and popping, things like that. So I went online and took some lessons with an online course from one of the best guys that there is for that. If you've ever seen The World of Dance, this guy called Poppin' John, he's just been on it. And he is the guy I learned that stuff from. You've got to find the best teachers you can, obviously, but they're around. Similar dog training. If you're going to get a trainer to help you, make sure they're a good trainer, because they will put you to your goals much, much, much faster. So that's how I sort of got into the dance. And then over the years, gradually learned to adapt the dance and how I could do it best to make the dog's job easier when I'm doing freestyle.
So Janet says, thanks. Ballroom dance sounds fun. Anne McKenna says, thank you, Ray. And Yvonne is wondering if you'd be willing to come to the island to give a seminar.
Yvonne. Oh, the island. Yeah.
Yvonne Downey.
Yeah. Of course, Yvonne. Yeah. Just just get in touch with me, and then we can fix something up. It's one of those things I don't like traveling lots, but going to the island is an okay thing. It's quick and easy, and of course, yeah, I'd be more than willing to come over to the island and show you guys. You know, you're really growing over there, which is great. I'd love to come over and show you, bring some dogs and show you guys how I do things. You know, because we all do it different. I've got my way. And it's good to hear new things. You know, it's so good. Yeah, so just contact me. We'll fix something out. No problem. Good.
So Norma says that Magic is beautiful. And Terry Swanson says hi.
Hi, Terry.
And Louise says, exciting, we're going to try it.
Oh, good, good, good. And so, yeah, if you start, I've given some basic things. That goes for any of you. If you start it and you get into little bits of trouble here and there, just ask me. You know, I might ask you to send me a quick video of where your stumbling block is, but then I can help. It's what I do. So. Yeah, but try it, and it will work. Is sometimes people get things a little bit wrong, or sometimes you don't even know the mistakes you're making. That's the trouble. And a second set of eyes looking in can really help on that, and you can we can solve your problems really quickly just by having someone who can say, "Ah, that's the little bit you're doing wrong." You know?
And Janet says, good luck on AGT.
Oh yeah, thanks, Janet. That's quite the experience, and yeah, I should be on there in a couple of weeks. So yeah, that's one of the what can I say? When you eventually step out on that stage and you've got thousands of people in the theater, and then you actually know that about 15 million extra people are going to be watching you. It's quite the pressure that you need to do the routine, and it needs to work quite well. So can't be much more pressure you can put yourself under.
Anne McKenna says, I see you give Magic treats and she looks for them. LOL.
Yeah, she loves her treats, and that's why I tried to give her the treats of cheese, so it's an actual food, because she gets a little bit of it every day, and but she does, and I use mozzarella cheese. The treats, when I consider it using treats, I don't want anything that crumbles on the floor, because then the dog will spend half of its time eating food from the floor. So, and even the type of cheese, if I use, say, an aged cheddar, that crumbles. Okay, so what I do is I'll use mozzarella, so like that, and I'll cut it in sticks. And that way, when I give a treat, I can just break the end off. But it's quite, what can I say? It's quite moist mozzarella. That's why it's used for pizza and stuff like that, and it melts easy. But what that does, it stops it crumbling. And so when I can have that in my hand, and that's like 6 treats. So it's very easy and convenient for me to use. And of course, it's cheese, so it's smelly, and Magic likes smelly food, don't you? You like smelly food. Yes, you do, cheeky girl. Yeah, you do. Oh, yeah. She'd do anything for a treat. She's a traitor. I thought you was going to do it for me. No? One treat. Okay, go on then. If she asked, I can't resist it. I have to give it to her. Yeah, good. So thanks for watching. Any other questions before we sign off this one? We're good to go, it looks like. So thanks for joining in, and maybe we'll do it again sometime. And if you've got any particular things, just let us know, and we can always give you some help. And Magic likes it as well. To get some extra food. So see you guys. Have a good day, and enjoy your training. Okay, bye.